Hey world! I just saw another episode with gay representation, and I'm ready to talk about. Well, damn. The Proud Family has always been a show that is willing to get into talking points that can be very sensitive to certain viewers of the media. In its original run, the amount of risk they were willing to place within the show speaks high volume in what they want to represent in their show. An episode that I remember distinctly about this is the episode Who You Callin' a Sissy, which is an episode that focuses on homosexuality and when people who do identify as homosexual had to deal with negative opinions and public ridicule. While some episodes could be considered a bit gimmicky in their messages, they can be very strong in this regard. So when we got the news of the show returning in Louder and Prouder, I was very excited to see what modern issues they were willing to tackle. Well, needless to say, they picked a topic that definitely is fitting to today's issues.
Da, 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 da! Behold! Snackland!
What does Snackland have to do with me, Oscar?
I need you to co-sign Malone.
One of the main things that I enjoy about this episode is the amount of seed planting within the very first scene. Not to mention, it gives something other adults can relate to as well. Trying to start a big project as an entrepreneur, but the credit history doesn't have a lot to be desired. Trying so desperately to find a co-signer to help better his chances. This definitely made Oscar to be the main focal point for this episode. It makes sense considering that this episode is called Father Figures. Plus, with Felix getting involved in the shenanigans, it gives the idea that we were going to have a Proud Boulevard-esque centric episode.
You are my last chance.
Well, life could be worse, Oscar. You could be me.
So now we add another piece into the mix. While continuing to see the dynamic between the two fathers, we're introduced to another problem that is focused on Felix. The problem is Sunset getting a promotion and her new partner, who is someone that we've met before. Though it makes us question what exactly the show is trying to set up. The dads trying to help solve each other's problems seems to be the logical path, but both problems don't mix well with each other. Though maybe with the invitation of Penny and her friends to go to the Pink Eye concert they were trying to go into, we'll be able to put these pieces together.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is me and Maya's dad.
How y'all doing?
Sorry, Randy, but I thought Barry over there was the dad.
Oh. Well, this is a turn of events. Obviously, with the introduction of this video, this is clearly going to be the focal point of the entire episode. While we do have plenty of representations in LGBT parents, not a lot of shows touch on the problems a family goes through in this predicament. The body language throughout the entire family made it clear that things are going to change for them with this revelation. Why? I don't know, maybe it's because we got a character who doesn't know the definition of keeping things to herself. Can't stand that girl. I also enjoy the atmosphere of the concert as well. It's hard to explain what I feel about it, but I knew there were a lot of layers within it. Pink Eye's concert is very eerie, with how the crowd chanted her name as she sang "Disinfect Me." It started out with a vibrant pink, but then it starts cooling down a lot more to the dark purple as we get shots of the crowd. Then there's the line that really hit fuck. God damn it. Then there's a line that really hit home for me.
Remember, love is contagious. Spread it. Pink out.
Then she walks off the stage abruptly. There are so many layers here, man. The more I think about this, the more I feel like this is supposed to resemble the way the media treats LGBT representation. Pink Eye and the stage represents the glamification that the media shows. Which, don't get me wrong, it's good to show someone who embraces that part of them. At the same time, a lot of the media don't take a deep dive into how society treats those that consider themselves a part of the LGBT community. Which is why I felt that the crowd is dark purple. They're supposed to be the parts of the LGBT community we don't pay attention to. The ugly scars those community members endures because of the society they grew up in. Even then, at the same time, they showed the negative side of how the media sees the LGBT community. And that hit me harder with the ending of the scene. Pink Eye, is a disease, a contagious disease at that. The crowd chanting pink eye in a cult-like fashion with a combination of the performer saying, "Love is contagious, spread it," gives off the negative notion that certain people in the media believe that LGBT is a disease that can easily spread. This is saying that while we have been reaching strides in animated shows in the West in showing representation, it's time for us to dig a little deeper because there is still animosity towards the idea of normalizing same-sex love. It's time for us to have those tough conversations. All it takes is one post to get things started. Using text bubbles to show the amount of divisiveness on this news of the Leibowitz Jenkins is a good quick way to show how easy it is to gain traction on a controversial topic. Whether it's the people that are for it or against it, these kids are going to be the center of it all. That sucks because they were not the ones who decided to share that information to the entire school. What's even more stunning is how numb to the actions Maya and KG are. This shows that this isn't their first rodeo dealing with ridicule due to the relationship of their dads, which in turn lets the viewers understand what everyday life is for a child with parents of the same sex. Kids are going to give them looks, antagonizing messages, and even try them. They have to fend for themselves or crack under pressure. No in between. This also shows how it can negatively affect friendships. Nobody sits with them, or even tries to help these guys out. The reason is being associated with kids that are being raised by a couple that is foreign could affect their lives negatively as well. Zoe's bit also pushes the narrative on how politics look into this issue, trying to be the bystander to not ruffle any feathers, but could be involved when the fight is more better suited in a certain direction. However, in doing so, it further pushes Maya and KG into isolated boxes, and thus pushes the selfishness of wanting to keep your own good image, even if the actions are clearly questionable morally.
Don't pay attention to the haters, okay? They're just jealous because you have 2 dads.
Yeah, some of them don't even have one.
First of all, you shouldn't be just joking about things you don't know of. Maya's kind of sensitive. You were talking about kids not having fathers or mothers and we're both adopted. That's wrong.
God, I love this episode. It just continues to stack on not really understanding the predicament. Not every LGBT family is one and the same. Sure, there are those that have kids prior to figuring out who they are. Even then, there are cases where those who marry still want to have children and are willing to adopt, which is a fantastic thing to do, both for normalization of homosexuality and having less children grow up in child service care. There are many ways these families are formed. So barging to the table and talking crap about other kids that could have parental issues is not the best move.
I have spoken.
Oscar, I will not let you fill our daughter's head with that nonsense.
What nonsense?
Listen, I don't want you hanging out with those kids that moved into Sticky's old house.
Why?
Here it is, y'all. The final seed has been planted. Oscar being homophobic makes too much sense. Everything pointed to Oscar being the main focal point in this episode. While his desperation of getting his project off the ground, reintroducing Barry, introducing Barry's husband, Randall, Dejanay being a snitch, and all of the dads in the neighborhood expressing their distaste of Maya and KG's family situation. All these pieces connect extremely well with one another. Even though Oscar's homophobic point of view isn't surprising, it still made me intrigued because of Penny truly believing in what Oscar said about treating people the way you want to be treated. She embodies that lesson, and witnessing the very person she felt taught her that valuable lesson being a major hypocrite is gut-wrenching. It shows how messed up that mindset could be, and how easy it is to blindly hurt others for not having the willingness to at least respect someone interested in the same sex. Plus, his final words,
Life isn't fair.
will be his final nail on the coffin.
Good morning, family. What day is it? It's my big day. I'm going to the bank to get my loan.
The next scene is where the puzzle pieces start coming all together. How the trek of the next scene starts gives me chills. The piano when it gets to the next day, the beat dropping as Oscar expresses his excitement for getting his loan. Oh my god, this is so good! He is public enemy number 1 right now. Even BB and CC ain't having it, and they were not even in the previous scene. The body language though, the body language! Oh! This episode is making me turn into a masochist, but it is so amusing seeing someone getting his just desserts. Just him continuing to show his bigoted hatred, trying to blame her age for not seeing his point of view. Sorry, Boomer, but you are definitely wrong in this case. Why? Because progression is a thing, society will continue to grow and adapt, especially with how more avenues are open to understand different cultures without harming others.
Hello, Proud. Oscar Proud.
Yeah.
I have an appointment for a loan?
Over there.
All right, brother. I got this loan. Gower, we got the power.
Bro, I love this man. Oscar continues to try to do everything in his power to get this loan passed, really pushing the black power dynamic in such a cringeworthy way that only Oscar can pull off. The whole African drip and the variety of black slangs he uses is just the epitome of pandering and ass kissing. The quick switch of his clothes when he feels he made too quick of an assumption and flipping it back on when he thinks it's all good is so entertaining to witness. Oscar and Randall have some very strong chemistry between the two. Randall's delayed response to Oscar really does an excellent job in pacing this dialogue. And he has such an iconic laugh as well. Even with everything going well, Oscar is closer to getting what he wanted. However, one character was ready to swoop in and kiss it all away.
Hey, Randy, I was in the neighborhood and you forgot your lunch again.
Maybe I just wanted to see you.
Don't be late tonight, Randy. I'm cooking dinner. Your favorite, gumbo.
That was his breaking point. A simple kiss caused Oscar to look distraught from witnessing the two men give the tiniest of embrace. Even prior to Barry coming in, just the tower slowly stacking up with each building block of Randall's sexuality becoming more obvious. And it's not in the way you would expect any sort of medium to do it. First was the last name Leibowitz Jenkins, then the mentioning of having a partner while informing they bought the house nearby, then the specification that partner meant husband. So everything was quickly stacked against Oscar as he became more uncomfortable with Randall when it became clearer that his loan is in the hands of a man who really likes D. I mean, it is a pretty solid letter. So seeing him crack and barely hold himself together was enough for Randall to change his mind on the loan. Just like Maya and KG, they've been down this road before, so it wouldn't take long for Randall to know what Oscar was really about. So Oscar had to take the L to show that he has to be more open to respecting who the person is, no matter the sexuality. Gay men can do the same things straight men can do, and have the same upper class job like working for a bank. As if there's even a hint of homophobia, well, let's just say that sometimes life isn't fair.
Wait, what you mean you ain't got no money to invest in our record label? Don't one of your daddies work at the bank?
Yeah, and the other one's a cop.
Man, we ain't scared of no 5-0.
Going back to Penny and her crew, they witnessed the usual mugging Gross sisters. Only this time, it's the Leibowitz Jenkins that are getting harassed for that upper class cash. This scene was... I really don't think the Gross sisters were the right choice for this spot. Yeah, they are the general bullies in the series overall, but they bully everyone equally. And Gina was quick to correct Penny, who assumed wrong about the situation, again. Frankie would have made a lot more sense. He's not the most intimidating, but possibly paying the Gross sisters to take them out would have been the better play? I don't know, I'm just spitballing. It's just a quick way to tie up Penny's friends, realizing that they have to help those who are good to them, no matter the differences. It's a pretty cheesy scene for me, but it doesn't knock the episode too much.
Look, man, I'm really sorry about what happened earlier today. I mean, because, well, us brothers, we really gotta stick together. You know what I mean?
This is where we tie up the entire episode. It's a really wholesome way to do so. It gave a lot of small moments of characters realizing their mistakes and judgment, and given the opportunity to show that gay men are just normal people. Witnessing Oscar realizing that with Randy was great too, especially with the mention of appreciation of how Penny's belief can affect others. The restoration of his eyes is showing that he has learned, and that warmed my heart so much. While this bowl of Fruity Pebbles do taste different, it's still pretty dang good. To say that I absolutely love this episode is an understatement. I truly believe they broke the boundaries when it comes to the discussion of the LGBT community. There are so many aspects that aren't nearly as talked about that decides to kick down the walls in this episode. There were so many conversation starters that could last hours, but were able to piece together so well to make a beautiful and touching story. It's one of those times where you look at an episode where it doesn't also give younger audiences an opportunity to learn about it, but also adults as well. Each scene had a lot of layers that kept my intrigue, and while the ending of the episode did feel a bit rushed, it doesn't take away how wonderful the overall story was set up. This is easily one of the best episodes I've seen in this season. Heck, even all of the franchise's history. And this episode is the prime example of how to show LGBT representation.